Welcome to John Gets Games, where today I'll be introducing you to Soul Raiders. In this video, I'll be giving you a brief overview of the game, and you can learn more about it by watching my tutorial video, where I teach most of the rules as I progress through the entire prologue chapter. You can find a link to that tutorial in the description of this video. Now, Soul Raiders is a 1 to 4 player game, and each of the chapters for this game takes between 2 to 4 hours to play, and this is a fully cooperative experience, and it's also a campaign-style game. That campaign is split up into a number of these chapters that push you through a thematic storyline. Now, within each chapter, players are going to be controlling a single Soul Raider hero, and when it's time to take actions, there aren't actually specific turns. Each of the players can take actions simultaneously, or they could wait to see what some other people do before they do their own thing. Now, the things you are going to be doing involve moving from one location to a next. When you do this, you are going to reveal new location cards that you place out onto the board, and these locations will also give you a variety of options. Now, in addition to moving, you can also perform combat actions, and the way this works is you are going to fight the various enemies that are targeting you in those specific locations. Now, when it comes to performing all of the actions in the game, you are going to be playing cards that you have in your hand. Each of these cards can be used for most actions in the game. You simply place them in your discard pile, and the big number on that card will go towards the combat or movement or other type of action that you are doing. Now, every card has an icon in the middle, and if you use that card to do an action that matches that icon, you will get the bonus that is printed down at the bottom. And this will often give you extra value for that action based off of the other cards that you put in, and perhaps the other types of cards that you put into that specific action. Now, one thing that you can do is cast spells, and many of the cards that you have in your hand show a spell on the bottom. Now, these spells don't need the number at the top of the card at all. Instead, you just play them out and then do what that says. Sometimes they are instant. They might cast lightning, which could wound a bunch of enemies, or they could be persistent, like going invisible, which lets you wander around and not be attacked by enemies, and it also gives you a combat benefit because, of course, those enemies don't see you coming. Now, another big thing that you can do in this game is perform scripted actions. These are specific to the locations that you are at, and you have to discard cards to match the number, and then you are going to very often read a narrative that comes from the deck of story cards. You just draw the correct card, read out what it says, and then progress based off of the actions that show up on that card. Another thing that you can do while you are playing the game is flip over these locations. Every location is double-sided, and there are a few ways that you can flip these over, and when you do this, this might open up new passageways. It also might close passageways off or spring large traps that could certainly put a kink in your strategy. Now, each of the chapters has specific goals that you are trying to reach, and these goals can be found as you are wandering around and exploring the locations that are a part of that chapter. So you are going to be trying to meet these goals before the game ends, and one of the ways the game can end is if a threat track gets too high. Another way is if you all become too exhausted. All of the heroes have a shared health track, and every time your token goes all the way around that track, your exhaustion level will increase, and the more exhausted everybody is, the less cards they draw at the start of their hand. And as I said before, card play is the heart of all of the actions that you are doing in this game. So it's important to try and get the things done that you need to before either of those timers runs out, and if you are able to do that, then you can successfully move on. Sometimes you can have a partial success, or it's possible that unfortunately you could all end that chapter in defeat. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have made a tutorial where I teach most of these rules as I progress through the entire prologue chapter, and you can find a link to that video in the description of this one if you are intrigued by what you've seen and you want to learn more.